I'm Austin Luga.
I'm Andrew Harp.
This is With Nothing to Say.
Let's talk about King of New York.
Before we get into this week's film, next week we're going to be watching Titty Cut Follies. Uh, Frederick Wiseman passed away just a few days ago, and
Hmm.
at the young age of 96.
I
And
know, he
he
was just a kid.
just gone too soon. Truly gone too soon. And
Yeah.
we've done one Frederick Wiseman film before. We did Monrovia, Indiana, which was, I think it was almost 2 years ago now since we did that film.
Yeah.
It's been a minute, and it's been a while since we've done a documentary, but I I mean he's one of the great filmmakers of the 20th and 21st century and truly one of the great documentarians. So I'm excited to watch more of his stuff. I'm hoping that I have some time to maybe watch some of his other stuff if I can find it somewhere. And it's yeah, it's I mean it's always sad when you see a great filmmaker pass away, even if they are 96 years old. I mean it's still gonna be sad when Clint Eastwood passed away, even though he's like 1,000 already, but it's still going to be a sad day.
Yeah.
So I don't know, I'm excited. And you've seen this film, but you've only seen it once before, right?
I've only seen it once before, but at this point I've seen like several of his films, like probably a dozen or a couple dozen of his movies. He has a lot of them.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, he's like one of my favorite filmmakers. His movies are just like I've had a really good time over the past few years, kind of like incrementally like watching his movies, because they're all so far all of them, all the ones that I've seen are very interesting. They're funny. Um, they're really, really good. And so yeah, and Antica Follies is his first movie. I believe like he made it, but it wasn't officially released for like several years.
Really?
Because like the movie he made after Titty Cut Follies was High School, and I think that movie was released. And
Gotcha.
High School's very good.
Hmm.
Um, I guess like High School would be a good one to watch too.
Yeah.
Um, but in accordance with Titty Cut Follies is very short. Obviously Wiseman would go on to make very, very long documentaries because he loves digital. But
Yeah.
yeah, anyway, Titty Cut Follies is I would say Titty Cut Follies is also a very different film from his other films as well. It's more it has a it's more dark. But yeah, just good.
Interesting. Well, I'm excited. I'm very excited to be back in
Yeah.
Wiseman's world. And this week we watched King of New York with the great Christopher Walken, Lawrence
And Lawrence
Fishburne,
Fishburne. Yeah.
who gives an incredible. I mean, he's just so cool. He might be the coolest person on earth. I mean, God, he's just so cool in this movie. I mean, he's cool in every
I would
movie, but
I was just watching like a video about it was a video of like Quentin Tarantino like talking about this movie
yeah.
and how much this movie meant to him, especially at the time when it came out. Because like this movie I think came out right before he made Reservoir Dogs.
Hmm.
So I think it was kind of like a movie that was in the background that I think influenced him a lot.
Yeah.
And yeah, he kind of says like Walken's amazing in it, but like this is kind of like Fishburne's like movie in a way. Like he's just he's it's an amazing performance, an amazing character. He even
Hmm.
like compared Fishburne to like Marlon Brando, and
Mm.
I don't think that's like an out there comparison. I think it's a
Yeah.
very apt comparison.
Yeah. I mean, of course, we opened this movie on Christopher Walken, and but there's I rewatched this movie once just to kind of get a refresher on it, and which is great still on the rewatch, and I'm excited to watch it again and again because there's just so much. There's a lot packed into this movie. I mean, this movie is I think it's under 2 hours, and yet a
Hmm.
ton of stuff happens. And so having a rewatch and just figuring out all the things that are going on and realizing that Christopher Walken's kind of just gone for the middle of the movie and it's mostly just Lawrence
Yeah,
Fishburne like doing his shit. And
yeah,
it's exciting to see him. I mean, it makes me want a root beer. Like I've never wanted root beer more than I mean, I love root beer, but I've never wanted a root beer more than watching Lawrence Fishburne. He just wants his root
yeah.
beer, man.
It's a root beer. Yeah, yeah, yeah. What does Walken say to him? He says like when they meet him in the hotel, I think it's something like
Oh, shit.
uh uh I don't know. I forget the line, but like yeah, that like tension, that the beginning in the movie is so awesome leading up to that moment where it's like he gets out of Sing Sing and it's very
Mhm.
like quiet. No, there's no dialogue.
Yep.
And then they have the amazing drug deal scene where they kill the Colombians outright. They just fucking kill them.
Just
And
kill him.
then the gang meets up with Walken and you're kind of like a little
That's a
unsure
crazy
what the
moment.
relationship is. And then they just and then they're like, whoa. You're
Christopher
like, oh,
Walken does
okay,
a
they're
dumb dance.
yeah, yeah. And the way that scene is written too, how it kind of has like its ebbs and flows, right? Where
Mhm.
he's kind of like where Lawrence Fishburne's like, yeah, we killed those Colombians, you know, or whatever. And Walken's like, well, I feel no remorse. You know, like I feel nothing.
Nothing.
And then and then it kind of like goes down a little bit, right? Where he's kind of like, why didn't you ever visit me?
Yeah.
And Lawrence Fishburne, he kind of gives an excuse and like Walken kind of like accepts it. And he's like, okay,
Hmm.
and kind of moves on with it. So yeah, I love like, I, I love like the style of the movie. And, you know, again, I don't think we've done it for our film yet,
No,
right? As
no,
far
it's
as I
the
can
first one.
tell. Yeah. I hate to reference the Tarantino video again, but he kind of he makes a good point where after King of New York, he made Bad Lieutenant,
Hmm.
and he said Bad Lieutenant is kind of like a little bit more of like an artsy movie, like a more kind of like an art kind of film.
Okay.
King of New York is still a very beautiful, artistic kind of cinematic masterpiece,
Yeah.
is what he described it as, and I would agree. But it is a more but it is more of an exploitative movie. It's like an exploitation film. It kind of runs this line between kind of like this like what is a crime kind of like film, kind of gangster film gonna look like in the 21st century, kind of, you know,
Yeah.
because it's like the 90s now, the 80s are done with. Like there's been many different crime films. It's a crime thriller, cop and robber films have been around forever. And it's sort of kind of like reimagining it and sort of deconstructing it in a way where it's kind of like, you know, what is this type of film going to look like in the new millennium kind of thing. I don't know if that's like crazy or not to say. Like I don't know if I'm being out there, but like when I watched it, that's kind of what I was thinking about when I was watching it.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely playing into what I think a lot of films would go on to play. I mean, of course, it's a bit of a neo-noir and it has sort of the gangster things, but then, I think of the movies that sort of are of that era and are inspired by it and kind of live in the same world. Movies like Deep Cover was the very first one that I thought of just because of like the blues and the reds and the way it shoots the city. It gives a
Deep cover, yeah,
really
I always think of deep cover as well. Yeah.
right.
Deep
Eh,
cover, uh, I will say, like, Deep Cover did come up. We've talked about this movie, and I love that
mhm,
movie. I love Deep Cover. It's a great film.
yeah.
Deep Cover, I guess the thing that sets it apart, is that is different than King of New York, is that I think King of New York has a much more kind of like relaxed, sort of loose attitude with like plot and structure, while Deep Cover has a very regimented plot and structure.
Yeah.
Um, Not to say that that makes Deep Cover like worse or better. It's just maybe like different.
Hmm.
Um, but honestly, if I had to choose between the two, I would maybe go with King of New York just because it's more complex.
Yeah. Yeah, one of the interesting things about this film, and you kind of talked about this in that opening scene with Christopher Walken and Lawrence Fishburne, and I think this comes out sort of in a lot of their performances and the way they interacted with each other is there'll be these moments that are very loose and fun and relaxed, and then in a moment's notice, right, it kind of just turns on its head. I think of that scene where they're that party scene right where they're all dancing. It's very has a very like 90s hip hop feel to the whole film. A lot
It
of
is.
great
It's very
90s hip
yeah,
hop music in it.
yeah,
And
very hip. Yeah,
there's a great scene where like they're doing cocaine and they're all having sex with each other and they're all dancing
yeah.
and it's very fun, right? Very out there. They're just all having a good time, and it immediately turns into a gunfight. And just how it
With
turns
the cops, right?
with the
You're talking
cops,
about the
yeah, because the
cops? Yeah, yeah,
cops,
yeah. The cops
uh,
they want to kill
they go
Frank.
on
They
their
want to kill
own.
Frank. Yeah, they want to kill Frank Walker because they're like
Yeah,
tired of like. I love that scene too when they're like they're kind of like, let's just kill him. You
yeah,
know, like let's just kill him.
just get
like
over
come
it.
on, like yeah, just get it. Like we hate him. We think he's a bad guy. Let's just kill him. I
And
love
there's
that scene.
it's a great scene. And then there's that great line in that scene where he goes, "Are you just going to kill every man who you can't arrest?"
Yeah,
And he makes, I
yeah,
mean, he makes a good point, which is there's a strange thing happening where Christopher Walken and there's that scene, near the end that we can talk a little bit more about later where, he's talking about all the people that he's killed, right? And how, every man he's killed deserved it. And
yeah, yeah,
right, how like drugs didn't cease to exist when he went to prison, right? Like he's not the problem. Like killing him isn't going to do anything. He's a businessman, is what he says.
yeah. My business. Yeah,
And I think that's kind of the crux of this film, which is what makes this film really interesting, is a lot of these sort of gangster crime neo thriller, they usually take one stance, right? They are either on the side of the cops, where they're like, there's
Mhm.
bad people out there and we're going to save the day and we're going to stop, all these criminals from doing these things. Or you have your sort of Scarface sort of on the side of the gangster, and they're doing crazy things, but everyone's in on it and everyone's evil and blah 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 blah. But this film is interesting because it's, I mean, as you said, it has a certain complexity to it where
Yeah.
it's not necessarily that anyone in this film is downright evil. I mean, everyone in this film
Yes.
does evil things, right? They all, whether they're the cops or the
Yeah.
gangsters or whatever, they're all killing people. They're all doing things that probably shouldn't be doing. But at the same time, is they're all part of this larger system, right? They're part of this cycle that none of them can escape. Like none of them want to be part of this. None of them want to be sort of linked in this way, and yet there's no way of escaping it. And so if they can't escape it, right, they kind of have to make the best of it. And Lawrence Fishburne's kind of the best example of that because he's someone who's right. He runs his gang. He's dealing drugs. He's doing his thing, but he's very much himself, right? He's kind of pulled
Yeah.
himself up and created this life for himself. And but that's also his destruction, right? I mean, my favorite scene in the film is the scene where he goes to get the chicken, like they're at that little chicken restaurant.
Yeah.
And right, he gives this like super
Yeah.
complex order.
Yeah. Yeah. And the guy is like being kind of like he's got like an attitude, right? The guy at the
Hmm.
restaurant.
So Lord Fishburne immediately just kind of goes off the rails. But there's that great duality of that scene because the worker at the chicken place yells at the kid, and Lawrence Fishburne's like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa! Like we gotta treat this kid nice." And he goes over and right
Yeah.
gives the kid and
Right.
the
Yeah.
grandmother money.
Yeah, they're doing the like that it's the Robin Hood thing, right?
Yeah.
Of like Christopher Walken, yeah, it's like the Robin Hood, right? Who is like a guy who's like for whatever reason he gets out of prison, kind of like a dude, different guy, changed man, right? But also pretty much the same.
Yeah.
And he's like, and one of the things, of course, is this hospital, this issue with the hospital, right? It kind of goes in with like kind of like a Fishburne giving money to like the old lady and the kids, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like this duality of like you're killing people and you're dealing drugs and you're doing all these things, but I'm also like an entrepreneur, right? Like I want to like we need this hospital. We can't have it shut down because like the government is going to shut it down because they're corrupt essentially. Like
Yeah.
is I think the idea. Like they suck. Like they're closing it down even though people need it. And it's like budget issues or whatever. Who cares? And Christopher Walken is just kind of like, no, like there is money somewhere to be able to keep it open,
Hmm.
right? And I like that complexity a lot, just because like is that really like attainable, I guess? Like would it be attainable to be able to like have to achieve that dichotomy? I don't even know, like is he able to accomplish his goal with the hospital, or or does that like basically do we not even know what happens with that? It seems like they have the gala event where the guy sings and
Yeah.
it's very cool, funny, and
And I think that's the
uh
last we hear of the hospital. Like I don't think we ever go back to the hospital after that gala event.
they visit the hospital, right? Like,
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, I like that aspect a lot because it yeah, Frank Walker is very like, is like this complex character who is willing to do who is like a cold-blooded like killer. Like he looks like one of the things that's interesting is like at one point they're in that movie theater and they're playing Nosferatu. Like
Yeah.
Christopher Walken is Nosferatu. Like he
Yes,
looks like
100%.
he looks like him, the way that he dresses, like his
Hmm.
demeanor, kind of like like the pigment of his skin, like
Yeah.
he's descending on New York as like a vampire, and he's like, but he's also kind of like a complicated guy too. He's kind of like a sad kind of guy with like maybe a little shame and guilt as
Hmm.
well.
Yeah. I'm endlessly fascinated by Christopher Walken's character and performance because every time you see him on the screen, it's very unpredictable. I mean, he'll go from just one end to another end so quickly, and he'll jump back and forth
Yeah.
again and again throughout the film. And there's this part of him where you think he wants to be a better person and he wants to support his community, but then part of you is like, well, does he actually want to do that, or does he just want to create the illusion? Right at the beginning of the film, he talks about how he's going to run for mayor.
Yeah. Like she thinks I'm kidding. Like what she says, she thinks I'm kidding or whatever.
There's
The
that great
line, yeah.
line where he's like, you know what I want to do to you? I want to take you to the subway.
You know what I want to do with you? Yeah. He's awesome. Yeah. And he like fondles her and then the guys try to rob him and he gives him a bunch of
He gives
money
him a
and
job.
that's that's an awesome scene. I love that scene. Yeah.
So-
You should you should watch like there's a great video. It's a very short video. It's like
Mhm.
2 minutes. It's like a compilation of Ferrara's DVD commentary for King of New York.
Okay.
And he's just so crazy. Like he's crazy. Like I would recommend like any interview with him. His appearances on the Conan show back in the day are very funny.
Hmm.
Because he just kind of he's a bit strung out. He's a bit of a strung out guy. Like he's a brilliant man, but like he's a strung out guy and he's crazy. And like the King of New York commentary is just like unbelievable because it's just him like he'll like he it's like he comments on the movie as if like he didn't make it, as if he's watching it for the first time.
I love that.
Like when Walken like shoots the mafia boss, which is a badass scene.
Yeah.
He's like, oh yeah, like man, like he like gets like really excited about the scene as if he didn't make it or direct it or whatever. He also is like he also anytime like a beautiful woman is on screen, he's like he's just always like commenting about it. He's like, oh yeah, I was gonna marry her. Like, oh she's so hot. Like he's just so like as if like it's not like he didn't interact with these people or work with these people. He's very funny, very, very funny. So I would recommend that just because like he's just a crazy guy. And but it's crazy that he was able to make a movie that was that's so moody. Like it's a very moody. His earlier movies are a little bit more crazy. Like they're more like, oh,
Yeah.
like he has a very early film called Driller Killer, which is a great film. That movie is like very violent and very exploitative. Miss 45 is also very violent and exploitative, but I love that movie. King of New York is very violent, but it's like it is kind of like sort of adopting kind of like this moody feel and vibe to it that does feel kind of like a maybe like a bit more mature, I guess you
Yeah.
could say. Um, but Tarantino does talk about in the video that like I think when this movie came out people hated it. Like I think critics and audience hated it. I don't think it did very well like financially, and I can kind of see why people might hate it because it is like it is kind of like the difference between Deep Cover, right, where the structure doesn't feel like it's there, I guess you could say.
Mhm.
you know
Yeah. Yeah. There's definitely, I mean, of course, obviously, we both love this film, and I think there's a lot to love about this film. But I think to some viewers, perhaps, it feels like it's going in this very specific direction, right? It feels like there's kind of these plot points that are laid out and the ideas that are going to happen. Like towards the beginning of the movie, it seems as if Christopher Walken, he's back. He's going to kill all these other gangs, right? He's going to become the king of New York and he's going to become the head mob boss. And then at the same time, he's also going to become mayor or some shit like that, right? That's kind of the thing that starts the movie and like, oh, this is the direction we're going in. And
yeah,
then the further we get into the movie, the more we veer off that. Like we start getting into the cops, which is really interesting.
oh so
And
yeah,
I could
Wesley Snipes is
definitely,
great.
I mean, obviously,
I like him a lot. Yeah, he when he dies you're just like whoa.
whoa,
Yeah,
great scene. I mean,
yeah.
that whole, especially that. I mean, Lawrence Fishburne has such an interesting performance he gives when he's shot, because
He's like crying and laughing at the same
he's like
time.
crying and laughing and like you can't really tell
Yeah.
what he's feeling. He's like kind of going crazy at this moment, and
He's crazy in that scene.
It's strange because like up to this moment, I mean, Lawrence Fishburne is like very big in this film, and he has all these outbursts, but he doesn't. He seems like one of those people that like when they're shot, he'd be very calm, cool, and collected about it, but he's not, right? He's kind of crazy and he's kind of like he's
He's like
screaming
in
to be
pain.
killed, and he's
Yeah.
in like this terrible pain. And it's like, I mean, it's awesome. Like it's just like the perfect choice
Yeah.
for this moment right here because, and I
It's so
think
good.
that's one of the things that's really intriguing about this film. You know, I could see a film studio watching this film and be like, oh, cut out all the police officer stuff. Like we don't need that stuff, and you know, focus on this thing or focus on that thing. But I love those moments, right? I love that scene at when the police are at the bar, or like when that marriage party thing,
Yeah.
like the after party or whatever, because all these moments feel very authentic, right? The
Yeah.
direction of the plot kind of going off the rails feels much more authentic, and it feels like it's kind of just letting this
Yeah.
film breathe and speak for itself, because that's what would happen, right? Like if a Christopher Walken like guy got out of jail, like these are
Yeah.
the absurd and silly and weird things that would happen, and you're kind of just along for the ride. And I think if you hold on too tightly to that idea of, oh, this is how a gangster film is supposed to be, this is how a noir is supposed to
Yeah.
be, I think you're gonna end up not enjoying the film because you're looking for something that it's not, right? This isn't exactly what this film is. It's playing
Hmm.
between genres, right? It has these noir
Yeah.
aspects. It has these exploitive aspects, but it's not like super, like it's not as exploitive as some of the films we're saying, right? It's not like
Hmm.
way out there, but it has its touches of exploitation. So, but it's not as violent, right? It's not as like weird or strange, and so it's in the middle
Hmm.
of all of these different worlds, and I think it blends perfectly into this mesh of a film that is so blue and so red, and just, I mean, every shot is so beautiful. You know, I think of,
Yeah.
I think it's one of the most cinematic shots in film history. Honest to God, I'm not being, this is not hyperbolic. The shot near the very end of the film where I think they're in Times Square, and there's all of those cars, right? They're like, I don't know if they've like, there's just like traffic everywhere. And
Yeah.
it's when Christopher Walken's in the cab and he's been shot. I mean, it just
Yeah.
looks fantastic. It is just so beautiful. Just like
They
all
all
these
descend.
different
They all descend
colors,
on him. Yeah.
and all the police officers are
Yeah. I
sending
like
on
the
him.
way I like the way he shoots the subway footage too, because they're at the subway at the beginning, right, with his girlfriend, and then
Yeah,
he's at the subway again where he takes that random lady hostage with the detective, right?
great
The
shot.
way that he shoots that, it's so like white and gross.
Hmm.
Like that, I love when like yeah, like the subway is just like it looks so like nasty. Yeah, and like I like the shot too. That's the other thing that Ferrer does. He'll be like, "Look at that shot!" Like in his commentary, like it's like his own shot. And he's like, "Look
He's
at
so
that shot!
proud.
That's such a great shot." He's so funny. And like yeah, like the shot of him like where like Walken is like looking at the mirror and it's like the reflection of like the city. Like that's of course a classic shot. And yeah, it's like a supremely like well directed movie. And and because of what you were talking about, because of that sort of because of that sort of like I guess style or structure that the movie kind of inhabits, the movie ends up feeling very like temperamental and unpredictable,
Hmm.
which is exciting, right? Like that's kind of like
Yeah.
I feel like it's hard to do, like the unpredictability, because it's like you watch you can watch enough movies and sometimes you can kind of like see it coming, something's coming.
Hmm.
Uh you don't see it coming when Christopher Walken pulls up to the one cop at the funeral and blows his head away. You don't see that coming like at all because you're just kind of like, oh wow. Because like I can't even think of like another crime movie in which a guy gets killed like at a straight up funeral of another guy that got killed. Can you think of one?
I, there might be a scene in Sopranos. Like I feel like there's a scene in Sopranos that's similar, but that might just be a recreation of the scene, right?
I can't even think. I mean, there's that one scene where they go to the funeral and like it's like they play the Mazzy Star song,
Yeah.
but I can't even think. There's a lot of funerals and a lot of crime movies and stuff like that. Like in Godfather, they go to funerals and
Mhm.
stuff, and um, but yeah, just straight up, and it would
Out
like
of nowhere.
it's a cop's funeral and like there are tons of cops there and Frank Walker just doesn't give a fuck. He rolls right up to him. How did he know he was gonna go to his car by himself? Like he just knows and he just blasts him just like in front of everybody, just like who cares? That's amazing. Yeah, and I love that scene too later when he confronts the detective at his apartment as well,
Hmm. Yeah,
where
I
he's
think.
basically like, yeah,
Yeah.
sorry. No,
No, no,
go
yeah.
ahead.
I
No, no,
think
yeah,
the the funeral scene and the scene at the apartment both sort of capture what this film is and what this film is about, which is by this point, by 1990, like gangster films have been around since the 1920s. We've been making these movies for a long time. There are certain expectations, there are certain things that have to happen in these movies.
yeah,
And he plays with these expectations in a really weird and interesting way. And it's not that he's necessarily subverting these expectations, because even the subversion of an expectation can sometimes be expected. You're like, oh, they're just going to do the opposite. But he
right,
sort of takes these expectations and does something you would never expect. I mean, as you were pointing out, the funeral scene's so strange because typically when we see a funeral scene in a movie is the slow moment where everyone kind of gets together, they form their new plan, they're like, this is how we're going to get back at them, this is what we're going to do. Maybe you have sort of an outbreak, someone gets mad, someone gets angry. I mean, I think of that great scene in Twin Peaks, right, at the funeral where the dad jumps on on top of the uh
yes, yeah. The
casket.
Ray Wise, yeah, he jumps
Hmm.
up and he like, yeah,
And
yeah,
so, I mean, our funerals have been shot for since the beginning of cinema. It's a very
yeah,
common
yeah.
scene. And to take this moment, right? And what's even more interesting is literally right before he shoots them is we kind of have this big outburst from the cop, right? He's kind of very emotional, he's very big, right? He's crying, he's yelling, he's screaming, and then out of nowhere, Christopher Walken shows up. Right there's no like setup for this. Like you have no idea this is gonna happen. You literally just see the window roll down, shoots him in the face, and then the scene ends, right? And then we just go on to the next
Yeah,
thing. Like there's no moment to like sit here and be with it and like and I think that's, I mean, there's almost this cocaine fueled intensity to this film where we are just jumping from one scene to the next, and there's no time to sit and rest because we're always going to the next thing. But it never feels overwhelming. I mean, it doesn't feel, to me at least, like I think of, when I watch Uncut Gems, right? There's this sense of sort of overwhelmness and like very stress
yeah,
when I watch that movie, and I don't feel
yeah,
that when I watch this movie. I mean, I'm excited and I love it, and I never know where it's going to take me next, and every time I watch it, I'm surprised by it, but I never feel overwhelmed by it. Like I never feel like the pacing is too quick. I think that's one of the really incredible things about this film is just the pacing is just on point the entire time. I mean, it never
yeah,
feels too fast. It never feels too slow. Scenes are never dragging. Sometimes scenes will go on for quite a while, and yet it never feels like a scene goes on too long or too short. I mean, it's just like it's just perfection in our pacing here. Like every scene just feels the exact same, like exactly as long as it should be. It never feels like, oh, this
yeah,
scene could have been a little longer. This scene could have been a little bit shorter. I go back to that party scene, which I love that scene. It's one of my favorite scenes in the film, and the
yeah,
scene goes on for quite a while. Like there's
yeah.
quite a bit of them
It's a
just
long
doing
scene too.
drugs and dancing and right, just being
Yeah,
naked and that sort of
Walken
thing.
Walken has some great dancing, has some great dance moves in this
Love
scene.
to watch
Yeah,
Christopher Walken dance.
that feels very that feels very much him, right? I don't
Hmm.
think it's like necessarily like something Ferrara told him to do, or
No,
like told him specifically to do, like do this, dance that way, or whatever. Like that feels very I think Ferrara is, I think he's interested in that, right? Like actors sort of like kind of doing their own thing, right? Kind of being more out there.
yeah,
But he's still a very controlled director at the end of the day too. Um, yeah,
yeah, I love it. And then that mask that the cop is wearing or the cops are wearing, it's almost like oh God, what's the movie? I was thinking of like Chainsaw Massacre or some shit, right? Because it's
got like a
like a
hood,
bat,
like a
like a
potato
bag that they
sack.
just cut. Yeah, it's like a potato sack that
Yeah,
they just cut eyes out of. Terrifying.
yeah. It's scary, yeah, when they descend on the party. It's very scary because you're just like, what's
Hmm.
going on? And it's like, oh, you realize that like this is the operation to kill him, this to kill Frank Walker. And they're able to kill a bunch of his guys, and of course they end up killing Lawrence Fishburne. And I love like when the cop like latches onto the car. It's like nobody rides for free, motherfucker. And they hit it, they hit the thing, and that guy just dies instantly. That's one of those things. That's one of those effects. One of those like moments where you just kind of like it makes you laugh. Like it's just so silly. Like it's a silly moment of violence. It's just so out there and kind of
Hmm.
absurd. And but then that directly goes into like the shooting scene where it's like, whoa,
Yeah,
yeah. And like that scene too, where like that one guy, isn't that guy like in CSI Miami or something like that? That actor,
I think so.
the
Yeah,
redheaded cop character,
yeah, yeah,
he
yeah,
like
yeah. Hmm.
Like when he's like crying over Wesley Snipes, it's like very good. And then and then he kills like Lawrence Fishburne in anger. Like that's amazing.
That scene is, I mean, it's beautiful and strange and weird, and there's so many things happening simultaneously. I mean, you have Lawrence Fishburne, who may be the crux of this film, right? He's
Yeah.
dying in this really weird and strange way, and we're kind of feeling those emotions. And then Wesley Snipes is also dying at the same time, and then you're watching the other cop kind of. I mean, there's that great moment, right, where he tries to resuscitate him, and he's like, "I love you," and it's such a like a weird and odd delivery of those lines. Like it feels almost something beyond friendship. I mean, not overtly, but
Yeah.
there's something kind of under there that like, oh, there's something like stronger there, right? And
Yes.
and it's awesome. It's
You're
amazing.
convinced of their bond. You're convinced of their
Yeah,
friendship in there.
you
Yeah.
are. Like in that moment, it's just God, I love it. And I mean, some of the way, I mean, there's a lot of movies that take place in New York. Hundreds, if not thousands, of movies that take place in New York, and I've seen a
The way
lot of
that
them.
Ferrara shoots New York is very impeccable.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, and a lot of his movies take place in New York. Like this one takes place in New York, obviously.
yeah.
Bad Lieutenant takes place in New York. Miss
Mhm.
45 takes place in New York. That movie's crazy. Driller Killer takes place in New York. He's got a lot of New York movies, and the way that he shoots it is a very primordial vision of New York. Very, very dark and seedy.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, he shoots it impeccably.
it's wonderful, and I think what's so exciting when you watch a film like this is one of the things when you've seen enough movies, as both of us has, is when they're shooting in New York, right? They kind of hit the same 10 or 12 spots, right? They're going to hit the same bridges.
Yes.
They're going to go to Central Park. They're going to go to Times Square. And it can still be a great film, but there's certain like predictable things that you know that they're going to do. And what's so interesting is the way Ferrara shoots New York is it looks almost like this dystopian sci-fi landscape that does not like it does not look like a place that exists in the world. It is just like all of the under it's truly the underbelly of this city and just like places you've never seen before.
Yes.
And I think it helps too that almost the entire film is shot at night, and there's very few scenes that take place during the day. And so you get those kind of like neon lights and the way the city like looks at night. And of course it's also 1990 in New York City, so it's crime fueled city at the moment, right? It's not the greatest place to
Yeah.
live in the world, but God, it just looks so cool and weird and strange, and it doesn't look the way. I mean, I think of like a fucking Annie Hall, right? It was shot there a decade earlier or so, and it looks nothing like that,
Yeah.
right? Right there, it's as if they're shot in two entirely different places, and yet they're taking place.
Yeah.
They're both taking place in this small island, and so
Yeah.
the way he captures the city and the use of locations. I mean, every single location, both indoor and outdoor, is just fantastic. I mean, the set design here is just really cool. There's some really great sets here at that. I mean, that even that chicken place, right? Which is like it's this little tiny
Yeah, it's
scene.
great.
I mean, it looks like authentic and real and cool and weird and strange. And that shooting scene at the end where they're under that bridge and there's the smoke coming up everywhere and it's just beautifully lit. I mean, these places that they find in the city just they truly look otherworldly. I mean, I think you could use these if you change the story, you could easily argue that this was a sci-fi film because of just the way it looks, right? The reds and the blues and the greens
That's true. Or
and
like a horror film,
oh
like a
yeah, it definitely
horror,
has
yeah,
some
like a
horror. I mean, not that the film is scaring it. I mean, there's people dying and being killed and stuff, but it's not traditionally a horror film, but definitely has more of the look of it. So it's very
obviously Ferrara has like, experience making horror films. He
yeah.
literally has like a vampire movie, by the way. He would end up making a vampire movie
Okay.
essentially called Addiction or The Addiction. Great movie, by the way.
Hmm.
Amazing movie. Christopher Walken's also in that movie. He
Awesome.
literally plays a vampire in it. Like he just plays it. Like The Addiction is called that because vampirism is like a
Hmm.
metaphor for heroin addiction, basically. So
Right.
there you go. Anyway, I love that movie. I've seen that movie a couple times actually. It's a
Wow.
very that movie is very like that movie is really dark. That movie, but it's a very beautiful movie, a very odd movie, very
Hmm.
out there. I would recommend it. And he did the Body Snatchers movie, like
Yeah.
which we done before, and you know, but yeah, I would agree with you. It does kind of have like a primordial feeling to it. And
Hmm.
locations are great too, like you said. Did you know though that our great president Donald Trump is connected to the movie?
Go
He
on.
has a connection to the King of New York. You could say that Donald Trump is a king of New York. He's his own king now. I'm kidding, but like he, according to Wikipedia, um, they shot in the Plaza Hotel. I don't know what scene that is though. There's a lot of scenes that could be in the Plaza Hotel. It's a very famous hotel, I guess, in New York City.
Hmm.
And it says, according to Ferreira, then owner Donald Trump gave him permission to film at the Plaza Hotel at no charge on the condition that Walken would pose for a photograph with Ivana Trump, who was a fan of the actor. I wonder if this like photo exists somewhere.
It has to
Let me
exist.
look that up.
I surely this is on the
Or I don't
internet.
know, like maybe not just because, it might be like, it might take the picture. Here's the picture. I didn't, she didn't scan it or do anything with it. Right. But
Right.
it's possible.
I mean,
I'm looking right now. I'm looking up right now to see if there's like a photo of them together.
Andrew is sleuthing for us. Our
Yeah.
national
And so
sleuth.
far, I looked up Ivana Trump, Christopher Walken,
Uh-huh.
and nothing came up. Like nothing like I guess there's like a random photo of like a bunch of people together. It appears to be like a bunch of actors, including Ivana Trump and Walken. But this might be the photo, but I feel like it's not. Like
Probably
I
not.
figured it would be like a photo of just like the
Just
two
the
of them
two
in
of
one
them,
frame.
right?
So I don't know what like again, it just might be like maybe like a thing she has in her collection that we've yet to see. But very interesting. Our great president Donald Trump is has a connect. Very nice of him to let him like shoot there for free. Uh, I wonder if like Ferrara still has like his number or something.
I hope
Like
so.
you could call up Donald Trump. Like, hey, you got to look up how he sounds. He has a crazy voice too. He sounds like he talks like this. Like he really does. I'm not kidding. He talks like this. And he's very good in the new Mario Supreme. He's very good in Mario Supreme, by
That's
the way.
right.
So
I
I'm glad
forgot
that
he's in that.
he's
Yeah.
in that movie. He plays actually a pretty significant role in that movie. Like he gets a lot of screen time.
Really?
It's kind of funny, and he just has a great voice and a great demeanor, and he's very scary. He's a very scary guy. I would not want to encounter him in real life. I'd be very scared to encounter him in real life. I think I've told you too about his like I think his like interview clip or whatever he said about like wherever Sundance is, right? You're used
Park
to be,
City.
right?
Yeah.
What?
Park City in Utah.
And yeah, and he would make fun about how like you can't drink there, like there's no partying, I want to get, he wants to get fucked up, and he can't. So I've always loved that like quote of his too about uh yeah, Sundance, about it sucking. It just sucks. It's no fun. Um, but yeah, like you said, the real life New York City locations really do make a big difference.
Yeah.
Um, and and yeah, it's kind of funny, it does have like the '90s hip hop quality thing too. I think they even play Public Enemy, right, in the party
Yeah.
scene or whatever, which is
Hmm.
very '90s hip hop. And I remember Tarantino in the video, he said that like the kind of like the hip hop gangster aspect of like Lawrence Fishburne's performance was not something that Ferrara did. It was actually something that he did, like that
Really?
Fishburne sort of came up with. Yeah. And it was good to know that because I feel like that's something I kind of like took for granted, right?
Yeah.
Like just because it's not it, hip hop music and culture is so ubiquitous
Hmm.
that I guess I didn't really like think about it all that much.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, even the small performances in this film are really interesting. I mean, you think of Wesley Snipes really isn't in that much of this movie, and yet his performance is so
Hmm.
memorable. And of course, Lawrence Fisher and Christopher Walken and everyone else in this film. And it's just like every single character, they feel real and authentic. I mean, when the kind of I can't remember the guy's name, but the one who's kind of Christopher Walken's right hand man, right? The one who's going to all these different places to kind of negotiate for Christopher Walken.
Yeah.
I mean, that guy gives a incredible performance, right? Because he's doing this thing
Is
where
there is there any like does he have any performance that's better than that? Like when you really look at his filmography, like when you really go on Letterboxd and look at his filmography, like is there something that compares? He has another movie that he's in that he stars in that Ferrara directed, I think in the 90s
Mhm.
again,
Yeah,
and called The Funeral. And I wanted to watch that one in preparation for the pod, but I didn't get around to it.
yeah.
He's probably really good in that too. But I mean, besides that, I mean, is there a performance of Watkins that rivals King of New York? Like, could you think of one? Like,
Now, I mean, I love Christopher Walken, and I've seen him in
yeah, he's like
a lot
super
of different
iconic.
things,
Yeah,
right? He's a very
but
iconic guy, very iconic voice, and I love to see him, but I don't think so. Like honestly,
yeah, can
after watching this, I'm like this might be where he peaked. Like this might have been Christopher Walken's moment. I mean, I can't think of a single film, and I've seen it. Like I said, I've seen him in a lot of different things because he's one of those actors who's sort of just in everything, right? Because he just takes whatever job, like he doesn't give a shit. And
yeah,
I mean, I can't think of another performance where he just gives this much to a film, and it's just this ingrained in the film, and is, I mean, without him and Lawrence Fishburne, like seeing. I don't know if this film would really work with two other actors. I mean, it would still be a good film, and I would still enjoy it. But those two characters, their chemistry with each other, and just the performances that both of them bring, is really specific and interesting. And I just
yeah,
can't really see anyone else filling that role. I'm not someone who often gives a lot of credit to the actors. I'm, much more interested in the crew and the directors and editors and that sort of thing. But I think this film really is built by these very specific people who give these very specific performances. Because, I mean, Christopher Walken has that ability in this film, which I would not expect. Like, I've never thought of Christopher Walken as someone with a lot of range. I mean, I've always enjoyed his stuff that he's in, but I've never thought of him as like someone with a lot of range. But what's so interesting is like he can be really angry and immediately turn it off and just be like fun, right? I mean, go back to the
yeah,
opening scene with him and Lawrence Fishburne, right? Like it feels real tense because both of them are able to kind of give that intensity and then immediately break the ice.
yeah,
And I can't think of another performance where he does something like that, like where he's able to just kind of grasp that.
yeah. Like, he has he has great looks. I like his smile. Obviously, an amazing. It's just it's the best. Like it's such a good performance, It's just so just a great kind of anti-hero character, and he feels evil and threatening, but he
Mhm.
also kind of has this kind of like playfulness to him too.
Yeah. And I think that's something that I never would have expected from Christopher Walken. Like I don't think of Christopher Walken as a evil and scary guy, and I think that's part of the reason why this is so impressive. Is he's not someone who like you look at and you're like, oh, that's a scary guy. Right? He doesn't have that look to him, and yet in this he's terrifying. Like you see him and
Yeah.
you're just terrified by it. All right, I'm looking up Christopher Walken on Letterbox because I want to see, because obviously I've seen him in a lot of stuff, but I need to confirm that this is his best performance. Yeah, I mean all this stuff. It's a lot of great stuff, but I just, I mean, of course, like Pulp Fiction and Annie Hall, Batman
Walken is
Returns.
also in the great Ferrara film New Rose Hotel, which is a great film. I
Okay.
highly recommend that movie. It's very similar to King of New York, except this one might even be even more challenging in a way. It's very science fictiony as well, honestly, now that I
Ooh,
think about
okay.
it. Well, it happens to be um it happens to be like based off of like a story or writing by the very famous science fiction cyberpunk author William Gibson,
Okay.
whose work hasn't been adapted very much, despite the fact that he is very well known and well regarded.
Mm-hmm.
And New Rose Hotel kind of has this like William Gibson is interested in like commerce and like crime and things like that in the science fiction future world. And New Rose Hotel is very much like that, and it's very good. I almost thought about suggesting New Rose Hotel.
Yeah.
And it's a movie that I need to watch again soon. But yeah, that New Rose Hotel is badass too because it's got kind of like the double whammy of like Christopher Walken and William Dafoe, and William Dafoe is also a Ferrara regular. Like he's appeared in a lot of his movies at this point.
Mm, okay. I love Willem Dafoe. And Steve Buscemi, he has a small scene in
Yes.
this.
So okay. So the Steve Buscemi thing is also contains a lot of trivia. Like I listen to so I so when you watch the Ferrara commentary, he makes a joke about Steve Buscemi throughout it. Because like he's hanging in the background or whatever. He's like, look at Buscemi, he's in the back. Like, because he kind of sticks out because he's like a white guy in like this black gang.
Yeah.
And I guess Steve Buscemi like did an interview on some random podcast a long time ago that I watched too. And
Mhm.
Buscemi was like, it's like such a funny video. He's like, so Ferrara wants you in this movie, but you shoot in like a week. And he's like, oh, okay, well, I'll do it. And he gets there, and they expected that Buscemi was going to be like a black guy. So the clothes that he's wearing in the scene, right, where he's like testing out the drugs,
Yeah.
was like an outfit that was meant for like a black guy to wear, but he's just wearing it anyway. And he's like, okay. So he just wears those clothes. And I think like during the filming, like I guess like Ferrara was kind of like, I don't know, maybe I have made a mistake, hiring Stu Buscemi for it. And I guess like he kept on pushing him more and more back into the back because he's like barely in the movie, but
Yeah.
he's like still like somewhat memorable in it. But yeah, I love like they wanted like a white guy for like the black guy crew, but like yeah, like Stu Buscemi just ended up kind of like sticking out a little bit because he's kind of like odd looking. So that's very very funny movie trivia for you. Yeah, very funny.
I love some good.
And like and Ferrara in the commentary, he laughs so much at like when he sees Buscemi in the scenes,
Like
like
every
as if
time.
he's seeing it like every time. Like he's great.
God, I love that. That just makes me very happy. Knowing something like that exists. It's just it's a great moment. Well, that does put us just about at an hour. I feel like we've captured a lot with this movie, and I'll start us off by saying that I was a little skeptical going in. We'd seen the Body Snatchers, which I did like. I enjoyed very much, but I we watched three of them at the same time, so sometimes it's hard to separate the three.
That
And
that movie's good. It's a very good movie, but it's not
Mhm.
necessarily representative of Ferrara's like
Yes,
whole body of work.
and I very much feel that now that I've seen this film, and I'm very excited to watch more of his work because this film is just a blast. I mean, everything from the opening to the end, you just never really expect the direction that it's going to go in. And we talked about this a lot, just a lot of layers to this film and a lot of complexity in the ideas of drug abuse and poverty and law and the way these are sort of meshed together and intertwined, and they're not these separate entities, but rather they kind of all screw with each other, and almost the futility of the whole
Yeah.
thing, capturing Frank at the end of the film. It's a beautiful and wonderful scene, and yet there's no sense of triumph here. I mean, of
Yeah.
course,
We
he
we
dies
we
on
didn't
his
really
own,
talk
but
about the ending
no, I mean,
because
yeah.
he just dies, kind of by his own hand in a way. Like he kind of won in a way.
Hmm.
Like they didn't get him.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's a great reveal too, right? He gets into the cab because up to that moment, you have the great subway scene where he grabs that woman,
Yeah.
and I don't know if this was off the cuff or if this was written, but like he's holding the gun to her head, and he's like, "You'll be fine, but don't move." Like it really captures like who he is. Like he doesn't want to kill this woman, but also at the same time, he has no remorse. Like he doesn't give a shit. Like he's a good person, but he also has no like feeling for anybody. So like he will kill this woman, but like he doesn't want to. And that last moment where we see him walk away, he's walking up the stairs, beautiful shot of him walking out of the subway, and he gets in the cab. And then there's that reveal that he's been shot, right? Which of course is a classic trope in these types of films.
Yeah.
And yet it still hits hard. And then all the police officers, right? They've got him, right? They're coming towards him, but
Yeah.
uh, one of the final shots is like him holding that gun, and he releases that gun, and that's a really interesting shot, right? That's a really interesting move to kind of end the film on, because it's if he's let go of the violence, right? He's kind of like, because there's that scene earlier on where he's walking with the lawyer, the female lawyer. They're like outside at night, and he's like, if I just had 1 year, right, I could really make a difference. Like I just
Yeah.
need 1 year,
Yeah.
and then it. I mean, you kind of assume like a year has passed, and you go, well, I mean, has he made a difference? Like, I mean, does this hospital, like, we don't know what happens really with the hospital. Like, has he
Yeah.
made a difference, or has he just kind of continued this thing where he's like, I'm just a businessman. Like, he holds no remorse, as he says at the beginning, right? He has no feeling,
Yeah.
he has no
I,
remorse for
I
the
feel
things
no
that
I
he
feel no
does.
remorse. Yeah.
But at the same time, he's not hooking 13-year-old girls. But
Right.
it's like, well, but it's what you're doing like that much better. Like, you're trying to supposedly support this community and bring this community up, but you're doing it by literally like consuming the very community that you're supposedly, right? The money that you're infusing into the community is from this community, from drugs. So there it's the snake eating its own tail in this
Mhm.
sense. And that moment at the end where he's holding the gun, right? Like that's one of the last shots, him holding the gun, and he releases the gun. Like he can't, like, leaving violence literally for him is leaving life. Like life and violence are one and the same to him. He can't
Mhm.
separate the two things. Like
Yeah.
the two can't live without each other. And that's true with all
Yeah.
these characters, right? All these characters, whether they're the good guys or the bad guys, they're all consumed by violence, and they can't escape that violence. And the only way to escape violence is literally to die. Right?
Yeah.
That's the only way you escape the cycle. Like the
That's
cycle
sort
is
of
just
that's sort of the natural
forever.
that's sort of the natural conclusion of the whole thing. Yeah.
And yeah, I think it's beautiful and lovely and thoughtful, and
But it's also a badass movie. It's just
it's also
fucking. It's like
badass.
entertaining. Yeah. Entertaining.
I mean, let me not sell this film short. Like, it is an incredibly fun and entertaining film. I mean,
Yeah.
we talk about sort of these these beautiful shots and these complex and thoughtful things that are going on, but it's also just really fun. Like you can let go of all that stuff, right? You can let go of this idea of the snake eating its own tail and violence and how
Yeah.
poverty is perpetual and blah blah blah, and you can just watch Lawrence Fishburne and Christopher Walken just like shoot a bunch of people and do drugs
Yeah.
and
It's true.
have sex, and it's still a fun film. And the ability to kind
Hmm.
of work on both those levels is really interesting and really fun. So all that's to say that I very much enjoyed this film. I had a very good time, and I'm gonna give this film a strong 8 out of 10.
I'll give it a 9 out of 10. It's kind of hard to tell whether or not this is my favorite Ferrari, just because like I've gone back to like Bad Lieutenant a couple times, Miss 45 a couple of times, Addiction a couple of times, but this one just kind of like hang in between. I think like sort of like Ferrara's first half of his career and like the second half of his career.
Yeah.
So in that way, it's very kind of unique in
Hmm.
his filmography. As far as I can tell, I haven't seen like everything by him. There's some big ones by him that I haven't seen. He still makes movies, He still makes movies.
Still out there.
I don't think they're always successful. His last one appeared to be not very good, it seemed.
But you haven't seen it.
Um, I have not seen it. No.
Okay.
It stars Shia LaBeouf.
I love that.
Um, yeah, he just no, I don't know. Anyway, uh, it's like about a priest in particular. And
Okay.
anyway, he still, so, yeah, I mean, he still makes movies, and and I'm glad, but I don't know. movie definitely hangs kind of in a unique spot. And to say what I would change about it. So yeah, I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10.
Yeah. No, I think that's very deserving, and I was on the fence about it, and maybe in another watch it will change, but I did very much enjoy the film, and I had a very good time. So yeah, thank you all for listening. Thank you all for listening to this podcast. You can find this podcast wherever you hear podcasts. You also find us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. And with nothing to say, and thank you once again.
Thank you.